Cocoon Spawn Girls, Chapter 21. I stare at the remaining clothes scattered across the floor where I dropped them. My head feels fuzzy, but I couldn't call it pain. The events of yesterday keep playing in my mind. What happened just doesn't feel right. I don't feel like Dr. Trev had much of any interest in checking on my physical health. He really only seemed interested in getting those photos of me. I wonder if the others experienced the same thing. I enter my closet to grab new underwear, slipping them on and putting on the rest of my clothes from yesterday. Did Dr. Trev feed me some sort of drug? I can't imagine why he'd want to do that. I pick up my pill bottle and drop a small pill into my palm. I place it on my tongue, trying to replicate the feeling I had yesterday. My regular pill feels smaller than what was on my tongue yesterday. I move the pill around with my finger, trying to place it in different ways to see if any other orientation would make it feel larger, but no luck. As I'm moving it around, I notice I'm not getting any odd taste. Usually when you take too long to swallow pills, you start to feel the weird flavor of the drug. Yet I wasn't tasting anything at all. I pulled the pill out of my mouth and examined it between my fingers. It looked right to me, the right bluish color, the right size. Nothing looked wrong, yet I felt the creeping feeling that something is wrong here. My heart rate picked up, and silly thoughts crossed my mind. What if they replaced my pills with placebos? If you're planning to abandon the Morrowville project and turn it into a spawn-infested area, wouldn't you want to get a head start on your girls becoming spawn? Surely they wouldn't make a move already, right? I just put up with the medical checkup. I'm being a good magical girl. Are they really still planning to abandon us? My breathing gets deeper as I open the drawer on my vanity and pull out my colored pencils. I open the box and let a single pill drop from inside. Surely they wouldn't have expected me to have a secret stash of my pills. I set the pillow down on my desk, then grab a new pill from the bottle in case the one from my mouth was only off due to being in my mouth. Side by side, it was impossible not to notice there was clearly something different here. The blue color was far more faded on the pill bottle, and the size was slightly off, being less fat than the secret stash pill. There you have it. This is real. They're moving forward with abandoning us. I swallow the real pill. I'll hold off any negative effects from being off the meds for as long as I can. I only placed a handful in my pencil box. Maybe enough pills for 13 days. If they were planning for us to become spawn, then they surely would begin seeing changes far before these pills ran out. But what about the others? Did they save any secret pills? I never got the chance to tell Tiki about it. If I need to divide my stash by 3, suddenly now we're only good for 4 days. I'll be in real trouble. Clarice believed me though. Hopefully she hid some of her pills as well, and we can pool them together to share with Tiki. I'm gonna need more pills. The question is, where can I get some? To Klarna? She would know. She had told me before that she stays alive by stealing pills when she isn't eating spawn directly. If I really am going to believe her now, then I might as well listen to everything she has to say. I need to visit her again. Hopefully she'll let me. Should I try to bring Clarice and Tiki along? All of the floor's magical girls disappearing all at once might be noticeable. Wait, the morning meeting. Shoot, I got so distracted by the pills, I forgot there still is a morning meeting. I grab my bag and run out of my room and back down the hall to the elevator. It takes me right down to the meeting floor. I wonder if Declarna can see me right now. Everyone else is already here. Looks like I'm the last one here. Tiki gives me a warm smile, completely unaware of what is going on that's worrying me. I take my seat and Miss Gretchen begins the meeting. Good morning, ladies. Today's agenda's pretty short. No grand mission today. She actually had something written she was reading off of today. Yesterday, you all completed your physicals with Dr. Trev. You all were found to be healthy and in well enough condition to continue on fighting. Good work to all of you. How would Dr. Trev know how healthy I am or not? Guy never even asked how I was. Gretchen put down her piece of paper with an audible sigh. That's all. Please enjoy the day of rest after all of yesterday's testing. Testing? Yeah, right. The only thing I was tested on was my loyalty and ability to follow demeaning instructions. Gretchen just left without another word. She seemed preoccupied with something. Not that it mattered to me. Before leaving, I stopped teaching Clarice. How did your exams go yesterday? Not bad, I'd say, Clarice shrugged. I was able to lift the weights as well as the jumping section without any issue. My eyes widened before I caught myself and returned to a natural expression. Tiki nodded in agreement. Dr. Trev was kind enough to allow me to skip the pull-up section this time due to my lack of an arm. I told him I could do one-handed, but he preferred I didn't. Clarice made a sour expression. He let you skip it? He made me do it even though King makes me as good as one-handed. King scoffed. If anything, we were cheating by getting to let me use my entire upper body while everyone else was just using hands. No way, it was totally a handicap, Clarice growled at him. King leaned forward towards her. You didn't feel that way when I was helping you ace the memory section. Whatever, Clarice rolled her eyes. I'll never need to be able to memorize 44 cards and their locations. I stand there listening to them discuss all these different parts of their tests. And I feel like this is all some sort of elaborate prank. I'm supposed to believe Dr. Trev gave them all real physical exams with all these different parts, and then when it came to my turn, it was just me stripping and then drugging me? This is ridiculous. Tiki touched my arm, bringing me out of my thoughts. How is it for you? I know all these tests can be tiring the first time around. I wanted to tell them of what he'd done to me, but suddenly my chest felt so tight. Was I embarrassed? I hadn't done anything wrong. He was the one who did things I'm sure he wasn't supposed to do. And yet, when I wrote my response, it read, It went okay. Very tiring. Tiki gave me a warm smile. Well, now you can look forward to the next time when you get to beat your old scores. I never want to ever be in a room with that man again. That's the one thing about being abandoned. I won't need to worry about having to see certain MGI employees again. We all made our way towards the elevator when I remembered I wanted to see Declarna. I thought about it if I should invite Clarice to join me. Tiki at this point had been left in the dark so much that I had to catch her up way too much. I'll fill her in another time, but right now wasn't the time. I paused my steps, stopping. The others take note, and stopped as well, facing me to see what was up. I quickly wrote on my board, Hey, can I talk to you for a minute, Clarice? She nodded. Sure, what's up? I look over at Tiki, who is still standing there, listening. I felt bad as I wrote, It's sort of private. Can you come with me? Tiki's face dropped ever slightly. She was clearly disappointed to be left out. But she didn't say anything. She just said a parting goodbye and entered the elevator. Once we were alone, I held up, Did your morning pill seem different? She raised an eyebrow below her thick bangs. I don't think so. Why? They replaced mine. I can see the difference when I place an old and a new one beside one another. It's starting. She looked over at King. Did you notice anything? He just shrugged. I never pay attention to your morning routines. Did you hide any pills like I told you to? I asked, hoping, praying she did. King swayed cheerfully. Have no fear. We did hide some in a DVD case. We trust you more than enough to entertain you by doing something that simple. I clasped my hands around one of King's and Clarice's free hand, jumping with joy. That made both of them laugh at me for my sudden excited outburst. Once it was out of my system, I returned to my board and conveyed my plan. I believe our next best move is to speak with Declarna. She may hold more useful info. I agree. I've been wanting to meet the girl myself. King nodded, with his tiny arms crossed. It can't hurt, Clarice added. Then follow me. I threw my free hand into the air. I marched over to the elevator, Clarice following behind, and then I came to a stop. How was I going to get Declarna to open the door for me this time? She probably didn't have that phone anymore, and I don't exactly have anything to bribe her with. I kicked the elevator door, frightening Clarice enough to make her jump. Is that part of how to get her? Clarice asked, taking a step back. I don't know, but it might help. King and Clarice tilted their heads, staring at me. I must look kind of crazy right now. Please, Declarna, just open the door. I get on my knees and pray for her to open the door. Clarice grabs my shoulders and tries to get me off the floor. I'm fighting to stay on the ground when the door to the elevator opens again. I look up expecting either Tiki or Gretchen to have come back for some reason, but instead the elevator is completely empty. Bingo! I get off the floor and brush myself off. Then I walk into the elevator and motion for Clarice to follow me. She looks around the inside of the elevator, as if there was any way for someone to be hiding inside. Once she and King were satisfied, they joined me inside. The elevator began to lower deeper below the ground. Clarice and King made a peep of surprise as we began to feel ourselves lowering. Guess he wasn't making up the secret room, King chuckled. I sigh-eyed him, questioning just how much of a joke that was. The elevator comes to a stop and the doors open, revealing the darkness of Declarna's floor. I'm the first to take a step out from the elevator. Clarice seems hesitant to wander blindly down the black hallway. There's a light around the corner. Trust me, I write, holding my board below the dim light of the elevator. She follows me forward, holding onto the back of one of my jumper skirt straps. I feel for the first wall of the end of the hallway, then turn and lead us into the light of the room where our destination is waiting. As we walk out from the darkness, she calls out to us. "So I guess I get to see you again so soon." She leaned to the side, dragging her chains. "And you brought a friend." "Oh, 2 of them." She gave King a smile. "So this is Declarna?" Clarice asked. I nodded and brought her over to Declarna. "Don't get too close. Remember the chain curse," she teased. Although it sounded like a joke, I admit it was very much a valid threat. "What's the rule for the curse? Just so I know what not to do," Clarice asked. I began to write out my answer, but Declarna responded herself. "If you touch these chains, you all get chained too. So no taking pity on me and trying to help me. That's all." I nodded to Clarice, confirming that was the truth. Although my source was Declarna, so really it was just true as far as I know. I began writing out my first question for Declarna. The conversation continued as I wrote. "So you must be Pulsar then." She flicked her arm and her chains towards Clarice. "I'm happy we finally gotten the chance to become acquainted." "That's King Pulsar to you," King corrected her. She bows in apology. "Of course, King. I forgot myself in the excitement of your presence." "Don't let it happen again. My servant and I would have no problem wiping your rudeness off this planet," he threatened uncharacteristically. I finished my message. "Our pills have been replaced. You were right. What can we do about getting more?" My message was completely ignored by all of them as they continued their own conversation. Declarna grinned. "Oh, you could wipe a lot off this planet. I know." She leaned her head to the side, leaning on her held-out arm. "Any thoughts about swapping servants anytime soon?" Clarice took a step back at her words. "He has no need for anyone but me." She bit her lip. King pet her head with his tiny hand. "That's correct. You can't hope to compare to my Clarice. She was as good as made for me, after all. The perfect servant." She pulled back at that last sentence, eyeing him judgmentally, then smiled and laughed. Declarna straightened her head again, sighing. "Yeah, I'm aware of that as well. Just keep me in mind if you ever find yourself without her again." She finally noticed my board. "Oh, sorry, Sophia. Let's see what we got here." She read my sign over. "Huh. I told you they were most likely going to begin abandoning the project. Hope you stockpiled a decent amount of pills because it might be a while before you get more." She chuckled. Between Clarice and I, we probably had 2 or 3 handfuls to split between us, plus some for Tiki. This might not bode well for us if we don't think of something. I began writing again, but stopped as Declarna began to speak. "At this rate, you probably don't have much time till the staff leave, and you all become targets for other magical girl groups." Clarice and King looked at one another. Then Clarice turned to her with a skeptical look. "Are you really confident in that assertion? Even without our meds, we couldn't possibly change that quickly. How could they explain us not being spawned yet? Any magical girl who shows up at best would only be told they were looking at fallen magical girls." "Exactly," Declarna snapped, her chains rustling. "They'll tell whoever they send that you're all fallen magical girls. Without your pills, even a day or 2 off them will make you seem more agitated or quick to act. They'll use that against you to convince your hunters." She turns her head again, sprouting a small grin. "And the cherry on top will be when they say you ate Marcia." "Huh?" was the common response among the 3 of us. I stomped my foot, making angry hand motions at her while she told us to quiet down and hear her out. "Look, Marcia is now well known to be missing in action. She's a rising star among you guys. And you all were jealous of her. So much so you ate her to try and gain some strength for yourself." Clarice made a scowl. "Why would we ever do that? Tiki especially is a trusted figure who's been around far long enough to know you can't gain power from eating another magical girl." "Pop quiz," Declarna shouted excitedly. "How can you tell a fallen magical girl apart from a regular one?" "They look more like Spawn?" I write. Declarna just gave me a confused look and didn't answer. "They attack other magical girls," Clarice guessed. Declarna sighed again. "It's the eyes and the mannerisms. Gosh, I would have thought you'd have gotten one of them." She seemed actually disappointed in us. "The eyes?" I asked, re-engaging her. "Yeah, the green color of our eyes turns once we eat that precious chemical from a magical girl's source. No clue why it is. Maybe something MGI put inside us. Now that I think about it, I guess Declarna and Aurelia both had green eyes. I hadn't really ever considered that was something weird. But clearly neither of you knew that. So how would the public know? The other signs of someone being irregular is just the shaky mannerisms that come from not getting their chemicals from MGI pills, which include a common component which helps you relax. Once your body is used to it, it's pretty hard to go back. So what you're saying, King spoke up, is that they'll use ignorance regarding fallen magical girls to their advantage, to make some groups just take their word for it when they say we've fallen. Correct, Declarna nodded. So as long as we take our meds in secret, and we're able to convince these incoming girls it was a false report, we should be good. King poised. Declarna shrugged, her chains lifting slightly before returning to drag along the ground. I suppose so, but MGI isn't going to let you do that. They need to think you've been defeated, or they'll just send another group. Can we run? I asked. Well, you could. Let's say you don't get caught. Eventually you'll still run out of pills and become Spawn. Let's say you decide to fight Spawn to eat them to fight off the transformation. Then MGI eventually notices something's taking their kills. It just isn't that easy. Clarice let out a large sigh. We really are in a tough situation. Let's stop this guessing game. Just tell us what you think we should do. I stopped my foot at Declarna. If I was you, fight, she shrugged. I mean, if you can continue to win your fights here on your home turf, eventually they'll leave you alone as long as you stay in this area. Your reason for saying that? Declarna asked. It's happened before. Once they abandon this area, they're going to say it's fallen to the spawn. They'll let loose whatever spawn they've got stored here and allow the area to become their hunting grounds. If you beat every group they send, eventually it'll stop making sense to send more. They'll leave you to plan B and just let you eventually turn into spawn. King shook his head. They'll really let us bide our time until we finally emerge from our area? Savage spawns? Why not? The spawn lose lots of their intelligence from before they entered the cocoon. Magical girls who eventually transform into spawn are a higher class type, but they're still too bestial to really compare to their abilities prior to the transformation. Huh, was all King said. He and Clarice seemed deep in thought over this. Declarna turned to me again. And hey, once the area is marked taken over by spawn, it'll be much easier for your old pal Marzia to visit. I glared at her. She knew bringing up Marzia was an easy way to push my buttons. I furiously scribbled a response. Have you heard from her or Aurelia? Declarna shook her head. Sorry, I'd tell you how she is, but one of them ate my delivery spawn. Why? I haven't got a clue. She spit at the ground. That woman knows she can push me away, and I can't do anything about it. Stuck here and all. She turned back to Clarice and King. Hey, keep that in mind. I mean, I'm stuck here, which means it really is in my best interest you all don't get killed. Think about it. Magical girls come here and kill you all. They very well might find me and take my head without me being able to even put up resistance. We believe you, King said. There wasn't a question about that. Clarice suddenly rubbed her head, messing her hair up. Ugh, I don't know. Let's just wait and see what happens. This hurts my head to think about all this what-ifs. I'll fight when I gotta fight. And we won't lose, King added. Clarice turned to me. Anything else to talk about with this chained information bank? Otherwise, let's take a bath. I'm exhausted from all this thinking. I miss baths, Declarna mumbled in a sad voice. I didn't really know what else I felt like I needed to know right now. It sounded like I'm not going to get any more pills. There isn't much I can do about MGI abandoning us. Any chance you'll have your spawn help us fight? Declarna chuckled at my question. Like the tiny delivery spawn? Or the spying spawn? Sure, I'll tell them to jump in to save you if they ever get a chance. Thanks, I held up. With that, Clarice and I made our way back into the hallway. Declarna shouted a goodbye as we rounded the corner. We returned up the elevator to the dorm floor. The two of us grabbed Tiki, and the three of us, plus a blindfolded King, hit the baths. Even in this uncertain time, I'm happy at least I get to have good friends at my side. Tomorrow, I'll tell Tiki everything. End of chapter 21.